Welcome back to Godless and Grounded. Have you ever wondered why religion exists in almost every part of the world? Why human beings, regardless of culture, geography, or time period, have created gods, built temples, and told stories about divine beings? If gods were real, one might expect there to be just one universal religion, agreed upon by all. But instead, we find thousands of different belief systems, many of which contradict each other. So the real question isn't which religion is true. The more important question is, why were religions created in the first place? To understand this, we need to look back, not just centuries, but tens of thousands of years. Before science, before medicine, before written language, humans were trying to make sense of a chaotic, dangerous world. Imagine being a human 40,000 years ago. You don't know what causes lightning. You don't know why people get sick or why the sun disappears every night. You see death all around you, animals dying, people dying. You don't know what happens after that. Life feels uncertain, and uncertainty creates fear. In that darkness, religion emerged as a kind of flashlight. It didn't necessarily reveal the truth, but it offered explanations, comforting ones. People invented gods and spirits to make sense of what they didn't understand. Thunder wasn't just random. It was the anger of a sky god. Disease wasn't invisible bacteria. It was a punishment from an offended spirit. These ideas gave early humans a sense of control, or at least a sense of meaning. And when life feels unpredictable, meaning is a survival tool. But religion didn't just offer explanations. It offered community. Early humans were tribal, small groups roaming the landscape, hunting, gathering, surviving together. Shared beliefs made these groups stronger. When everyone believed in the same gods, followed the same rituals, and feared the same taboos, it created unity. It created trust. Religion functioned like glue. It held the tribe together. You were more likely to trust someone who worshipped your gods, and less likely to trust an outsider who didn't. So religion also helped define who belonged and who didn't. And that brings us to another key reason why religions were created: power. Once people figured out that gods could be used to explain things and to unite people, it didn't take long for others to realize gods could also be used to control people. If a priest claimed to speak for the gods and the gods said, "Do this," who could argue? You couldn't question the order, because questioning it meant questioning divine authority. Religious leaders often became political leaders, or at least allies of kings. In many ancient civilizations, pharaohs, emperors, and rulers claimed to be chosen by the gods, or even gods themselves. Why? Because if people believed your power came from heaven, they were less likely to rebel against you. Religion gave rulers a sacred shield. It wasn't just law, it was divine law. Even today, we can see how religion is used to give moral authority to certain leaders or governments. Whether it's politicians quoting scripture or regimes enforcing religious codes, the connection between religion and power has never really gone away. Now, let's look at another reason why religions took root: fear of death. Death is one of the few universal experiences. Everyone dies, and everyone fears it. Religion stepped in to offer hope. Instead of death being the end, religion told people it was just the beginning. Heaven, paradise, reincarnation. All these ideas made the thought of dying easier to handle. If you lived a good life, you'd be rewarded in the afterlife. If you didn't, you'd be punished. This promise of an afterlife served two important functions. First, it helped people cope with grief. When a loved one died, it was comforting to believe they had gone to a better place. Second, it helped enforce behavior. If people believed that good deeds would lead to eternal reward and bad deeds to eternal punishment, they were more likely to behave well, even when no one was watching. It was like an invisible surveillance system, a cosmic police force. But again, we must ask, who defined what counted as good or bad? That's where religious leaders came in. They set the rules, they interpreted the texts, they decided what God wanted, and that gave them enormous influence over people's daily lives. And let's not forget about rituals. Religion offered structure. Regular ceremonies, prayers, fasts, festivals, these rituals made life feel ordered, predictable. In a world filled with uncertainty, people craved patterns. Lighting a candle, offering a prayer, performing a chant. These actions made people feel like they were doing something to influence the universe. Whether or not it actually worked didn't matter. What mattered was the psychological comfort it brought. Religious stories also played a major role. Myths about creation, morality, floods, and heroes were passed down for generations. These stories weren't just entertainment, they were moral lessons. They taught children what was right and wrong. They explained why certain things were forbidden. They answered questions that had no scientific answer at the time. They gave people a sense of place in the world. Now, it's important to note that many early religious ideas were genuinely sincere. People weren't necessarily trying to deceive each other. They truly believed that spirits caused illness, that offerings could bring rain, that gods walked among them. Religion was born not out of malice, but out of ignorance, and the human need for meaning. But over time, as knowledge increased, religion didn't always evolve. Instead of changing with new discoveries, many religious systems resisted change. They became institutions, fixed, rigid, and often hostile to new ideas. When science began to offer better explanations, like germs causing disease, or evolution explaining life's diversity, religion often pushed back. It clung to ancient texts written by people who lived in a world without microscopes or telescopes. Why? Because by then, religion wasn't just belief, it was identity, tradition, and power. To question the story was to question the storyteller. And the storyteller often had a lot to lose. Still, people continued to believe, not always because the arguments were convincing, but because belief was inherited. Most people follow the religion they were born into. If you're born in Saudi Arabia, you're likely to be Muslim. If you're born in India, you're likely to be Hindu. If you're born in Italy, you might be Catholic. The God you worship usually depends on your geography, not on truth. That's a powerful clue that religion is cultural, not universal. Think about this. No religion has ever emerged fully formed with universal agreement. They evolve. They split. They adapt to politics and culture. Christianity started as a small Jewish sect and became a global institution. Islam spread through conquest and trade. Hinduism absorbed local beliefs over centuries. Buddhism changed form as it moved across Asia. Religions adapt to the people, not the other way around. And when you examine the content of religious teachings, you find moral rules that reflect the times they were created in. Ancient texts often reflect ancient prejudices about women, slavery, sexuality, and outsiders. These weren't messages from divine beings. They were cultural values wrapped in religious language. Yet despite all this, religion still holds on. Why? Because it's not just about gods or beliefs. It's about belonging. It's about identity, family, tradition. It's about the songs people sing, the holidays they celebrate, the names they give their children. It's emotional. It's nostalgic. It becomes part of who people are. And letting go of it, especially if it's been passed down for generations, can feel like losing a part of yourself. That's why so many people hold on, even if deep down they have doubts. It's not just about evidence. It's about emotional security. But the truth is, religion was created by humans for human needs, to explain the unknown, to comfort the fearful, to unite the tribe, to enforce morality, to provide meaning. It was never about objective truth. It was about survival, structure, and stories. As we look forward, it's important to recognize that our needs have changed. We no longer need myths to explain the stars. We have science. We no longer need rituals to feel connected. We have community. We no longer need ancient texts to guide morality. We have empathy, reason, and the ability to learn from history. Religion was created by humans, not because gods whispered in our ears, but because we were trying to find our way through a confusing world. That's not something to mock. It's something to understand. But now that we know more, we must ask, do we still need those old stories? Or is it time to write better ones? Ones based on truth, compassion, and shared humanity. Thank you for watching.